Footnotes from the Life Application Study Bible. King Herod Agrippa the first was the son of Aristobulus and the grandson of Herod the Great. His sister was Herodias, who had been responsible for the death of John the Baptist. Herod Agrippa the first was partly Jewish. The Romans had appointed him to rule over most of Palestine, including the territories of Galilee, Perea, Judea, and Samaria. He persecuted the Christians in order to please the Jewish leaders who opposed them, hoping that this would solidify his position. He died suddenly in AD 44. His death was also recorded by the historian Josephus. Why did God allow James to die and yet miraculously save Peter? Life is full of difficult questions like this. Why is one child physically disabled and another athletically gifted? Why do people die before realizing their full potential? We cannot possibly answer questions like these in this life because we do not see all that God sees. He has chosen to allow evil in this world for a time. In the face of suffering, remember that God has promised to destroy all evil and make everything right when Jesus returns. He is also able to use our suffering to strengthen us and bring glory to Him. In the meantime, ask Him to fill you with hope. James and John were two of Jesus' original 12 disciples. They had asked Jesus for special recognition in His kingdom, and Jesus had only promised them that they would suffer with Him. James and John did indeed suffer. Herod executed James, and later John was exiled. Herod had Peter arrested during the Passover celebration. This was a strategic move because more Jews were in the city than usual, so Herod could impress a good number of people. Herod undoubtedly planned to execute Peter just like James, but the believers were praying for Peter's safety. The earnest prayer of the church significantly affected the outcome of these events. We don't understand how prayer works, but God consistently commands us to pray. In this situation, the Lord responded to the believers' prayers and sent an angel to release Peter from prison, all of God's glory and to fulfill His plan. God sent an angel to rescue Peter. Angels are God's messengers. They are divinely created beings with supernatural power, and they sometimes take on a human appearance in order to talk to people. Angels should not be worshipped because they are not divine. They are God's servants, just as we are. John Mark wrote the Gospel of Mark. His mother's house was large enough to accommodate a meeting of many believers. An upstairs room in this house may have been the location of the Last Supper. Jesus' final gathering with His disciples before His crucifixion. The prayers of this group of believers were answered even as they prayed. But when the answer arrived at the door, they didn't believe it. Luke displays real life with a sense of humor in this part of the story. Can't you see this young woman so overcome with amazement, relief, and joy that she was beside herself with emotion? She didn't even open the door because of her excitement. This was also a humble reminder for Peter that, even after an angel had supernaturally broken him out of prison, he and his friends were still just people. He couldn't open the jail bars without an angel's help, and he had to wait for the servant girl to let him in the house. We should be people of faith who believe that God answers the prayers of those who seek His will. When you pray, believe you'll get an answer. And when the answer comes, don't be surprised. Be thankful. This James was Jesus' brother, who became a leader in the Jerusalem church. The James who was killed was John's brother and one of the original 12 disciples. Under Roman law, guards who allowed a prisoner to escape were subject to the same punishment the prisoner was to receive. Thus, these 16 guards were sentenced to death. The Jews considered Jerusalem their capital, but the Romans made Caesarea their headquarters in Palestine. That is where Herod Agrippa I lived.